Well, I'm Jim Nelson. My father was John Nelson. His father was John William Nelson, and his grandfather, my great-grandfather, was Titus Nelson, who came here from Connolly in 1847. Why did he come? Titus Nelson was one of 4 boys. There were 4 boys and 4 girls. A family belonging to another Daniel Nelson in Connolly, and family of shoemakers. Now I can well imagine that there wasn't sufficient room in Connolly for shoemakers. So why come to settle? Well, in those days, settle because of the turnpike road which had been built from Leeds to Kendal. That crossed over the old main road in Settle, which went east to west. The east to west road was built by the Romans, the Roman road from York to Lancaster. And so this crossroads was virtually in the middle of the Pennines and became quite an important place. There's a market in Settle. The market charter goes back to 1249, when Leeds was a village, Bradford was a village, Sheffield was a village, and their county rate, all put together, was only slightly more than the county rate for Settle, which was then a market town. Those days, the markets wasn't full of haberdashery and all sorts of odds and ends. It was a farmer's market, a tradesman's market, and there were market fairs, set days. There was a goose fair, a horse fair, sheep fairs, and there was a leather fair. Now you may say, why leather? Well, within a couple of miles there were 5 tanneries in Settle. There was this leather industry. The 18th and 19th of August every year was leather fair. Now the tanners would meet at the Talbot Hotel, still a local pub, and that's where they would have their guild meetings and decide the price of hides and leathers and so forth, especially for leather fair. The town fathers of that day fixed market tolls. Everything being bought and sold in the market paid a toll. The present day stallholders pay so much for a stall. A bale of leather, 6p, that's 6 old p, and so forth. There was a scale of charges for green hides. Butchers brought their hides in to sell to the tanners and so forth. And all this was tied up with the leather trade. And so shoemakers, cloggers, saddlers from miles around, I suppose as far as a horse would do in a day, 20 miles or so, would come to buy leather. And so these Nelson brothers would be familiar with Settle, having travelled here buying leather. This prosperity of that day attracted other businesses. There was a bank set up in Settle. It's now Barclays Bank, but it was then the Craven Bank. They had their own banknotes with a cow on one side and Castleberg Rock, that's the rock up there, picture of that on the other side. And until a few years on, an Act of Parliament said no, the banknotes were all Bank of England, they continued trading with their own banknotes. The bank manager lived next door to the bank, put a big building up there, house with extensive gardens. It's now social club. It was an hotel for years. Another banker, he built what is Cragdale, immediately across the road from the shop here, that big house with the tree in front. John Pert was his name. He was a banker, and they built these houses on the new Turnpike Road and so forth as you go out. The Falcon Hotel, that was built on the new Turnpike Road, was Ingfield Hall. Further on, Anley Hall Nursing Home, built on this new Turnpike Road. Anley, of course, originated pre-Doomsday Book. It's mentioned there, Anley having its own mill. But anyhow, we won't talk about mills. The only mill we're concerned was a bark mill at the tan yard, and that was a horse mill. The horse walked round and round, grinding the bark which was used in tanning. And the bill heads of that tannery, which was the last operated in Settle, used to have a picture of this horse mill on.